Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Pillage here as we work our way towards the end of the Fall of Rome expansion. Today we got one that was certainly on the list, eager to get to it finally, and that is the Huns. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they fit within the parameters of the game and work as a faction, just because of how historically destructive they were, and kind of we haven't really had like a speedy archer cavalry type base list for the most part yet. So it'll be interesting to see how they function again here in Pillage. So let's jump right in. We got a lot going on. We've seen that with a lot of these factions as well, but in particular, the Huns do have quite a few things going on. So first of all, gear, composite bows. Hun warriors can be equipped with composite bows. These actually have the same range or same characteristics as an ordinary bow, but their range is actually 30 rather than 20 just by default. The bows also don't have a penalty for shooting at long range. So like as far as equipment goes, this is like elite top tier equipment. Several advantages, right? You're going to outrange other factions, and you're going to just be by default again more effective at that full 30 inches. So you're going to get more hits before they can even reply to you, and then again it's still going to be long range for them. You're just shooting at normal rolls all the way in, so you're going to have much more opportunity to cause damage. You also have the Allan heavy cavalry here. So the Allans were the Huns' allies during several campaigns, and their heavy cavalry was deployed to great advantage. So Huns, therefore, and this is brutal, because we've seen this with some of the other factions that have them, like the Byzantines, right? But the Huns have cataphracts, which you think like the more lightly armored, almost like Mongol-like light cavalry, cavalry archers, that kind of stuff. Oh no, so these guys can bring cataphracts to the board as well. So they got an absolute hammer unit, and then the fact that their bows are just better, right? Also, this special rule now, every man a rider. So the Huns don't have the usual 25% cap on mounted figures, so they already break the game in that regard, right? So we have a chance to get basically 100% cavalry list if we want it, which is going to be very fast. It's going to cover a lot of ground for a lot of these scenarios, right, where getting positioning is crucial. They'll just get there faster. They can get to you faster and kind of dictate when and how the engagements will happen. But also some of these missions or scenarios where you need to go to one point and then get to another, like either like make it across the board or like rescue somebody or something like that, right? They're going to be able to accomplish all this stuff faster. Inflammatory approach. So Hun cavalry can actually pick up torches and use them to start fires in the same way that an infantry figure can. That really, though, should be something for like any faction. Like really, like anybody can like lean down off of a horse, pick up a torch or something like that. But again, it's their shtick here with like again being as destructive as they were. Also lassos. So all mounted Huns have a lasso, so you don't even have to pay extra for it. The lasso can only be used by a mounted figure. Okay, makes sense. Somewhat. But anyway, on a roll of 6 to hit in melee, the lasso cancels the enemy's attack. Just cancels it. So don't need to spend money on extra armor or other gear. Like every time you just roll a 6, boom, it's canceled. To speed up play, resolve the Hun cavalryman's attacks first to see if an enemy attack is canceled before they roll it. Right. So basically, if you rolled a 6, then the enemy doesn't need to bother rolling because you canceled it already. And then finally, mounted archers. So Hun riders can be equipped with composite bows or slings. Their use imposes the same restrictions on these cavalry figures as they do infantry. So again, you have that, but again, yeah, their mounted archers are going to be fantastic because again, composite bows. And then finally, there's a talent. So the step mobility. So for 50 gold pieces, all your cavalry figures can increase their movement range by, oh my god, plus 2 inches and automatically cross obstacles successfully. So well worth investing in. Maybe not at the smaller games, right? We haven't flipped over to the actual army points yet or the force points, but boom. All right. So they got longer range bows, faster cavalry, ignoring obstacles. So that's going to be, the game is somewhat terrain heavy in some instances. So there will always be some sort of obstacles. Boom. That's done. We don't have to worry about that. So amazing archers, horse archers, super heavy cavalry, right? They get cataphracts. They have all these other little advantages, right? They can cancel out your hits, etc. And for 50 gold, basically, their cavalry is going to be faster. So again, if you run that all cavalry force, you are going to dictate the pace of play and where fights happen or don't happen, just because of that. And you're going to be able to move around and get to where you need to get to faster as well, because you don't have to deal with that. The enemy does. Now, it would be interesting to see like a Hun mirror match. That would be wild. But let's get onto the army list. So here's what we're working with. So no healers or supply wagons, makes sense, right? So the base cost 10 for the warriors, 30 for the chief, so good there, and only 20 for the cataphract. So interesting. It'll be interesting to see if some of this is balanced out with costs, because some of the other factions do pay through the nose for certain things. Unarmored is free, of course. We know that. Armor, paying more for that, so that makes sense, right? Instead of usual 5 to 10, we're paying a premium on that. But certain warriors we're going to want to up armor, right, and get the most out of that. So like your cataphracts, your chieftains, stuff like that. Shield is cheap at 5, so you'll see a lot of that. Lassos are free, so again, it's cool when you get free gear. Good thing at least is that, and that would be comical, but yeah, no lassos for the cataphracts. That would be busted to have a tank that can also negate hits. They're, yep, as expected. Spears are only 5 gold apiece, so that's easy. That makes sense. There's the tax right there. 15 gold for the hand weapons, so it's going to be fairly expensive to kit them out because again, they're nomadic raiders, right? So not everybody is going to have, full-on swords and stuff like that. So the spears are going to make the most sense, right? Cataphracts do have the option of getting that Kantos lance, essentially. So lots more gold to get that. But again, a tank that also hits like really hard. So no Angons or Plumbatas. I feel like they could have just left that out if it's not even there to begin with. But 10 gold for a sling, so that's still fairly cheap. Gives you some nice options there. But we're here really mainly for the composite bow. And so again, fairly hefty cost on that to balance out just all the crazy abilities. We'll have to test this out in like a sample game or something like that. I feel like it probably would have still been fair at 20 gold, because that's a big tax with everything else, right? Because you got to pay for the horse and the warrior, so that it's going to be balanced out a little bit. So you won't quite, unless you skimp on a lot of stuff, be able to do the full-on horde with like just tons and tons of horse archers. But I feel like with some regular warriors, maybe a few cataphracts to have just that super punch, and then a decent amount of like horse archers. You don't need to like up armor them really much. If anything, just you want the horse and the bow. That's already plenty of points. Then you have a mobile force that can do everything. It can shoot better than you and further. The cavalry, by and large, right, will, and it says all your cavalry, so even the cataphracts, I'm just reading this now, just putting it all together, all your cavalry go plus 2 inches, so even the cataphracts are going to be faster. So they have super fast tanks, essentially, and again, they're also going to ignore obstacles, so that's all in that talent. So if we can afford that too, brutal. Some downsides, well, they can't have everything, right? So they don't get access to banners or war horns. So at least there's something there. No warhounds, that wouldn't have made sense much anyway, I don't think. So, and then the cataphract is also paying at least that premium for the horse at 40 gold, right? Which the horse itself, in that case, costs more than your chieftain. So just keep that in mind. So there is some balance in here. Again, it'll be interesting to test out, but boy, oh boy, do these guys seem like they're super strong, right? As it says, lassos are only by mounted figures. Cavalry figure who starts fighting on foot can no longer use its lasso, which again, it makes sense just to have some sort of balance, but like, just think back to like cowboy era, Western era, right? You can use a lasso on foot, but again, for what it is here, right, it's balancing out. So super strong list, right? Just like rules alone, it's super thematic. It's going to be fun, but very powerful stuff here. But then we have some balance in some of the gear costs here, so that's at least going to hopefully keep it fair. But I could also see, like if you start figuring out the optimal loadout for everything that you want here, whether you're going to go all cavalry or not, obviously more horses, more expense, so fewer models overall, but you can still fit some on foot guys in here as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to test this out, but let us know, guys. I'm trying to rack my brain too, like who actually makes suitable models for this. So if you know in the comments, let me know. I can't remember if Victrix actually has any Huns or not, or something that would be okay, but definitely got to find like a manufacturer for that, and ideally hopefully some like more modernized like plastics or resin or 3D prints or something like that anyway. But let us know, guys, if you've played with the Huns for Pillage, your thoughts so far, or if you've come up against them already and someone's got it. Eager to hear stories. Hit us up in the comments, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.